Hello and welcome to a very special How I Paint Things. Now today I'm going to touch on something super quick that we have already done before. You may notice a recurring theme with some of the latest uploads. Part of that is because we're coming into Christmas, and if there's one thing that I remember from working in the workshop, it's that despite the fact these boxes have normally got 12 and up on them, you're going to get hobbyists of all ages who are interested. And what I'm also seeing is a lot of parents who are coming back into the hobby. Folks who used to play, used to paint, are really back into, the breadth of things that are available these days. And because their kids are now tugging on their sleeve going, hey, how can we play this? I figured, why don't we look at a way that we can get a real easy win on something that is going to be quite common coming up. So the Genestealer Cultists, they've got their codex coming very soon, and on top of that, they're also in the Kill Team box. And Kill Team, frankly, I think is a really good way into the game. Nice small model count, you can concentrate on painting your miniatures. If you're a kid or someone who's just getting started or wants an easy win, and I'm going to keep saying that too, it's a pretty good choice. So I'm going to show you the absolute simplest way I could think of to paint a Genestealer Cultist who will look pretty good when he's on the table. Now to start off with, I've given him a base coat spray of Storm Vermin Fur, but you can use any grey. By the time we're finished, you're honestly not going to see much of this base coat anyway, so any old grey will do the job. Now what we're going to do first of all is I've got here Longbeard Grey, and we're going to dry brush the whole miniature, quite lightly, but we can go back anywhere that we want to really buff it out a little bit more, make that colour stronger. Now you might ask me straight away, why aren't you using a Citadel brush? And the answer is because I have woefully mistreated my medium dry brush. So, maybe take a little bit better care of your brushes, guys. So, once I've got my brush all prepped up, let's just get a quick look by dry brushing on the edge of the base, how much I'm going to leave behind. And then lightly back and forth over the whole model, just against the grain of any detail, so that you're leaving behind just a little bit of that Longbeard Grey against those high points. So this is the core of dry brushing on, whichever miniature you're doing. So this doesn't take too long at all. Just take your time now. Bap your camera a couple of times if you've got one of those set in front of you. And just pick out all of the high points. Now some places, like for example on his skin or on his gun, you're going to find it collects a little bit more than you might like. But don't worry, because we're going to paint over those. Just making sure that anywhere that is going to be left in pretty much this state, so all of his armor and his clothes. They're the important parts to concentrate on with this. Now once we've got that done, grab yourself a little bit of black. Now I'm going to use Vallejo's flat black because I like the coverage it gives us. You can use a Baden black, but you may find in a couple of spots you'll need to go back over with a second coat. I tend to find with Vallejo stuff that's not normally necessary, so I like the coverage for colours that don't really matter, black being one of them. So what we'll do is just get in anywhere that's going to be black. So I'm going to paint his whole gun casing in with this. Any little details like these ribbed sections on his suit, like little cables and stuff like that. His holster, wherever that's hiding. Just do any leather bits in black as well. This will not normally take too long. And if you need to, you can cover over with a second coat. But let's just come back once I've finished with that, and we'll see how he looks. Now there's not generally a lot of black details to do, just like the outside of his boots, any leather details that you want to do, and just some pipes and cables to break up the shape of them a little bit. You'll notice too that some of them are going to have these armbands on arms or wrists or what have you. I've deliberately painted it black because I don't want to add another colour. If you want to use it as a spot to do like a cult colour or something, corn red or something can look very good with this, but that's up to you. You can choose what you like the look of. What I'm going to do now is go straight to Necron Compound. And when I said only 3 brushes, I might have told a slight fib because I'd forgotten I was going to need a small dry brush for this one. Now, all we're going to do is very, very lightly do it along the edges of our guns. Now, if you're doing something like a grenade launcher or a shotgun or something, in the next step, you might want to put some lead belcher over say, the barrels or the grenade packs or what have you. But for the purposes of our auto guns or, las guns, anything like that, just a little bit of Necron compound will make them look like worn, industrial, really quickly stamped out metal stuff. So, that's done. Let's go on to the next step. What you use now is a little bit of lead belcher. I've just got some water in my brush, where as I'm taking this out of the pot, just mixing the water in my brush on the palette so I can see exactly what sort of consistency I'm going to leave behind. Now, twirl your brush to a point and just pick out some areas that you want to be metal. These bigger cables, this little Vox thingy on his chest here. I also recommend any glasses. If you've got glasses on these miniatures, a real easy way to get these guys painted fast is just to do the whole thing in silver. But anywhere you now want to go around and pick out, little metallic details, funnily enough, just a bit of lead belcher. And this will not take you very long at all. Then if you've got any cult icons that you want to stand out a little bit of Liberator Gold is a good choice for this. Because once we shade it, it's going to go a neat, deep brassy color. It'll look like it was made of gold or, something equally precious, but it's just been in service for a little while, let's say. Starts to look a bit grungy. But that's nice and quick. Done. Next step. And that next step will be a little bit of Bugman's Glow, just to do all of his skin. And of course, this will change from miniature to miniature, so you'll need to have a look at how much skin is there. If you've got any guys that have got horrible distended claws or what have you, carapace sections, paint them in with Bugman's Glow first as well, because we can do something to them later, which will make them stand out a little bit more. Now when you come up to the old head bit here, if you've got glasses, just be a little careful as you come to where they are on the face. Don't worry too much if you do hit them, because at this stage it's really easy just to grab some lead belcher again and fix that up. Now I've just gone in with a little bit of my black and done the strap on his glasses, or goggles, whatever you want to call them, in black, but that's our dude ready. Let's get our Agrax Earthshade, your friend and mine. Make sure you've given it a good shake and grab out your medium shade brush. And then we're going to apply this liberally over the entire model. So just go nuts with this. Don't worry if you think it's going to clog up a little bit if you've put too much on. Honestly, at this stage and with how we're painting, I don't really think you can put on too much. But try not to prove me wrong with that. Just take your time, fill in the whole model with Agrax Earthshade, and give it about half an hour to dry. Now once he's had time to dry, this is what you've got. And, honestly, if this was one of your very first miniatures, I wouldn't be too unhappy with that. It's shaded, it's got some highlighting, there's depth of color. You've painted him yourself. He looks pretty cool. You could put him on the table, blacken his base so maybe he looks a little bit tidier, but that's job's a good one to me, But we can go a little bit further, and it doesn't take much work to do that. So what I'm going to grab is Druchii Violet, and we're going to go back to our medium layer brush. And the reason why I'm going down to my medium layer brush is I want a fair amount of control of where this color goes. So let's just go ahead and put this over all of the areas of his clothing. You can be fairly generous with it. Try and dodge the little areas of sort of rubberized protective gear. But just go around now and fill in all of his clothes purple. You'll notice that it isn't the strongest color, and maybe it's not going to win you a golden demon, but once it's finished, you've got a dude that you painted yourself, and a little difficult to keep on screen there, and he's going to look the business. And while you're doing the purple, I also suggest with these cultists, just put a little dab of this along their forehead, not very much, and just around the mouth. Okay, we'll come back and we'll touch that up with a little bit more later. You'll see how we can use that to make him look properly gribbly. And there we have it. He's got purple clothing, grey armor, black gun. He's a Genestealer Cultist. Does he look like they do on the box? No. But here's the rub. If we don't count the time that it took for the shades to dry, he's taken me 12 minutes to paint. And, that's not too bad. What I've got now though is we're going to go back to Bugman's Glow, and this is a purely optional step, and this can be good to practice. Just putting a little bit of this back on to brighten up the skin. So if we get a little closer, with plenty of light there, all you want to do is just some thin lines, bleep, 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 along his forehead to bring out that, that horrible alien ridged texture. You don't need very much of this. And there we have it with his base blacked in. He looks a little tidier and properly finished. You know, job is a good one. Like I said, you can chuck him on the table and be perfectly happy with the result. You know, your first few miniatures hitting the table like that, I think you'd be pretty happy. What we'll do though is I'm going to very quickly grab myself out here some Astrogranite, which is one of the texture paints. Now I didn't mention this as sort of part of the ingredients because for the actual painting of our model, this isn't strictly necessary. But let's just throw a real simple base on them and see how that can make these easy miniatures look all the better. Now once that's had plenty of time to dry, well, you've already got Agrax Earthshade, so let's put some on. Just shade over the whole base, real quick, and then again, give it about 20 minutes, half an hour to dry. And then you've already got it, so Longbeard Grey. Just very lightly dry brush along the high points of the base. You'll see it catches and gives you all that nice rubbly detail. You want to be fairly sparing with this so that it doesn't sort of blend into the uniform that you've just painted, or the armor and stuff. But with just a quick blat around like that, there we go. We have a quick, easy urban base. There we go. Ready for quilting. So there we have it, from start to finish, a Genestealer Cultist in 15 minutes. Not counting drying time, of course. Now could he look better? Naturally, but that's what practice and other techniques are for. If you are just getting started and you want to put some models on the table, that guy looks better than grey plastic. I defy you to tell me otherwise. So if you're looking for an easy in and you just want to have some fun, you know, these are not groundbreaking techniques, but they will help you get started and really learn things like brush control, thinning out your paints, all that sort of stuff. With a bit of practice, you can be turning out miniatures like this in no time at all. So hopefully guys, something there was useful to you, whether you old hands just wanted a different perspective or you are really just getting started. I really enjoyed doing this. This was actually a lot of fun to sort of cut back to basics and enjoy painting something for the hell of it. As always, you can feel free to drop a comment in the old box below. My Twitter and Facebook are both linked there too. So, thank you very much for your time. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.